Chloe Rivera stepped into the softly lit restaurant in downtown Seattle with a racing heart and trembling hands. The elegant dining room exuded unstated sophistication. The gentle murmur of conversation mingled with the delicate clink of silverware against porcelain, while warm amber lights bathed every table in a comforting glow. Every dish appeared to be an artful creation, and every guest radiated a calm assurance that Chloe desperately wished she could feel. Yet as she caught a glimpse of her reflection in the polished window, her second-hand dress, scuffed shoes, and the traces of anxiety in her eyes, she was reminded of the vulnerability lurking beneath her facade. Tonight, she had promised her closest friend, Ava, that she would honor the blind date they'd arranged, even if her nerves threatened to unravel her composure. Clutching her phone as if it were a lifeline, Chloe took a deep breath and began her tentative journey into the unfamiliar. As she scanned the restaurant's tables, her eyes fell upon a solitary figure seated near the back. There, dressed in a sharply tailored blazer with dark, impeccably styled hair, was a man absorbed in his phone. For a fleeting moment, a spark of hope ignited within her. Perhaps he was the one Ava had described. That must be him, she thought, summoning a courage that defied the storm of self-doubt swirling in her mind. With each measured step toward the table, her heart pounded louder, echoing her inner turmoil. Finally reaching the table, she gathered what little confidence she possessed and offered a bright smile. "Hi, you must be Kevin." "I'm Chloe," she said in a warm, welcoming tone. The man looked up, momentarily startled by her sudden appearance. His eyes, a clear and thoughtful blue, blinked in mild confusion before a soft smile crept onto his face. "Hi, Chloe," he replied hesitantly, his voice laced with reserved politeness. Misinterpreting his initial hesitation as a shy charm, Chloe slid into the seat across from him, her hands nervously fidgeting in her lap. "I know blind dates can be a bit awkward, right? Ava mentioned you might be a bit quiet, so please, don't worry. I can talk for both of us if need be." Her earnest words, though meant to ease the tension, only deepened the man's pause. He opened his mouth to correct her assumption, but then hesitated. In that moment, an unexpected text message arrived on his phone, and he excused himself by mentioning a sudden work commitment. Something in Chloe's earnest smile, however, made him linger. In a world filled with calculated small talk and polished networking, she was refreshingly genuine, a stark contrast to the carefully curated personas of his usual business associates. Deciding to follow the unexpected impulse, he let a small, almost imperceptible smile tug at the corner of his lips. "Right, blind dates are something else," he murmured, his voice gentle yet laced with curiosity. Chloe laughed nervously as she took a tentative sip of water, the ice-cold liquid briefly quelling her racing thoughts. "Tell me about it. Ava has been trying to set me up for what feels like forever. I've always been too caught up with work to give dating a real shot." She paused, glancing down at her well-worn napkin. "I work as a waitress at a small diner. It's not glamorous, but it pays the bills. Most of them anyway." For a moment, silence stretched between them as the conversation paused on the precipice of further revelations. "And what about you?" Chloe asked softly, genuinely interested. The man hesitated, then offered a tentative explanation. "I work in technology," he said, the words passing with a hint of understatement that belied the world he inhabited. "I'm involved in startups mostly." A brief, wry smile played on his lips as he added, "I must confess, I'm terrible with computers." His offhand humor served as a small bridge between their disparate worlds. The conversation, once tentative, began to flow with surprising ease. Chloe recounted humorous anecdotes from long shifts at the diner, the struggles of making rent, and even her secret dream of one day opening an art studio, a sanctuary for creativity. Gabriel Stone, as he eventually introduced himself once his phone had been stowed away, listened intently, his laughter growing genuine as her stories unfolded. "You're not at all what I expected," he remarked after a particularly funny tale, his tone shifting from bemusement to something more thoughtful. "Ava mentioned you'd be more reserved, but you're wonderfully candid." Chloe's cheeks warmed with the compliment, her nervousness easing into a comfortable familiarity. Yet just as the pleasant rhythm of their conversation began to settle, Chloe's phone buzzed sharply in her hand. Glancing at the screen, her heart suddenly sank. The message read, "Hey Chloe, where are you? I'm waiting at table 7. Kevin." The realization hit her like a bolt of lightning, and slowly, her face flushed with embarrassment. "You're not Kevin, are you?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. Gabriel's smile faltered, a flicker of guilt dancing in his eyes. "No, I'm not," he admitted softly. The shock in Chloe's expression deepened as she realized the misunderstanding. "Oh my God," she muttered, rising abruptly from the table. "I'm so sorry, I sat at the wrong table." Gabriel reached out instinctively, but Chloe was already gathering her things, her voice shaking with mortification. "Please, excuse me." She darted out of the restaurant, leaving behind a silence that throbbed with regret and unresolved curiosity. Later that evening, Gabriel found himself alone in the quiet solitude of his penthouse suite, high above the vibrant streets of Seattle. The city's glittering skyline was usually a source of comfort, its sparkling lights a familiar reminder of endless possibility. But tonight, the view did nothing to soothe the restless hum of his thoughts. He replayed every moment of his brief encounter with Chloe, captivated by the sincerity and unguarded vulnerability she had displayed. Unlike the polished socialites and strategic networkers he normally encountered, she had shared her struggles, her dreams, and even her insecurities with an openness that struck a deep chord within him. Although he had initially been prepared to correct the mistake immediately, he now found himself wondering whether fate might offer a second chance. A possibility that filled him with both hope and trepidation. Across town, in a modest apartment tucked away on a quiet residential street, Chloe collapsed onto her worn couch, a sigh escaping her lips as she tried to disentangle her swirling emotions. Ava, her ever-supportive roommate and confidant, peeked over the rim of her laptop, her eyes crinkling with concern. "Rough night?" Ava asked with a wry smile, setting her laptop aside as she came to sit beside Chloe. The memory of the evening played over in Chloe's mind. The mix-up at the restaurant, the embarrassment, and the peculiar yet oddly comforting interaction with the man who wasn't who she expected. "I sat at the wrong table," Chloe admitted, her voice tinged with both frustration and lingering amusement. "I ended up having this whole conversation with someone I thought was Kevin, and then I got a text from the real Kevin, and I just bolted." Ava couldn't help but chuckle softly at the absurdity of it all. "Sounds like the setup for a romantic comedy," she teased gently, though her eyes held genuine warmth. "But seriously, if he was as nice as you said, maybe he won't mind a second chance." Chloe hesitated, a small smile tugging at her lips as she considered the possibility, even as her pride bristled at the thought of making such a mistake again. The next day, as the early Seattle morning light filtered through the curtains of his stylish office, Gabriel sat at his sleek desk scrolling through emails with a distracted air. His usually efficient assistant Clara noted his pensive mood as she reviewed his schedule for the day. "You've been off since last night," she remarked quietly. "Did something happen?" Gabriel paused, his fingers hovering over the keyboard before he finally confided, "I met someone last night, at a restaurant. It was a complete mix-up. She thought I was someone else. But there was something about her. Something real." Clara arched an inquisitive brow as he continued. "I don't even know how to explain it. She didn't see me as the tech magnate I am. She saw me for who I might be if I let down all these pretenses." Her eyes softened as she set down her clipboard. "You plan to see her again?" she asked gently. Gabriel's voice, usually so measured and confident, wavered as he answered, "Yes, I want to see her again. I want her to know me, the real me, and not just the image that everyone expects." Clara smiled faintly, offering a nod of encouragement. "Well, if she's as special as you say, then you'll need to prove it. Actions speak louder than any words or apologies." Gabriel leaned back in his chair, a new determination kindling inside him as he considered his next move. That afternoon, as Chloe was wrapping up another long shift at the small diner where she toiled, her phone vibrated with an unfamiliar number. Frowning, she answered hesitantly. "Hi, this is Chloe," she said softly. A warm yet earnest voice replied, "Hello, Chloe. This is Gabriel. I know last night was a mix-up, but I'd really like to see you again. How about meeting for coffee? For a moment, Chloe's heart pounded in a mixture of uncertainty and cautious hope. She couldn't quite believe that the man she had inadvertently dismissed might be reaching out. "Coffee sounds nice," she replied after a long pause. The simple invitation carrying the weight of potential new beginnings. That very evening, Chloe found herself stepping into a modest coffee shop tucked away from the bustling tourist routes of Seattle. The space was intimate, its wooden furnishings and soft jazz melodies creating an atmosphere of quiet refuge. As she looked around, her eyes landed on Gabriel, seated at a small table near the window. Gone was the formal business attire of the previous night. He now wore a simple grey sweater and jeans, blending effortlessly into the relaxed ambience of the cafe. "Hi," Chloe greeted, sliding into the seat across from him. Gabriel's smile was warm and genuine. "Hi, Chloe. Thanks for coming back," he replied softly. The conversation resumed, this time more relaxed, as they ordered their drinks and settled into a rhythm that seemed both familiar and refreshingly new. During their coffee date, the conversation meandered from light-hearted banter about the eccentricities of blind dates to deeper reflections on their personal dreams and daily struggles. Chloe recounted tales of long, exhausting shifts, the daily grind that left little room for creativity, and her secret ambition of someday opening a space where art could flourish. Gabriel, in turn, spoke in measured tones about his work in the tech world, deliberately vague about the intricacies of startups yet sincere about the challenges and triumphs his career entailed. "It can be complicated," he admitted with a chuckle, "but I love it." Their words bridged the gap between two seemingly disparate worlds, and by the end of the afternoon, both felt a budding connection that hinted at more than just a chance meeting. In the days that followed, a series of encounters deepened their connection. One bright Saturday, Gabriel offered to help Chloe with her weekly grocery shopping, a gesture both unexpected and touching. They found themselves standing in a busy discount market, laughing as they debated the merits of different brands and exchanged light-hearted teasing about the heavy bags they both struggled with. "I'm warning you," Chloe joked as she teased, "you're going to regret helping me if these bags are any heavier." Gabriel's reply was equally playful, his smile conveying an affection that went beyond mere camaraderie. As they climbed the stairs of Chloe's aging apartment building, a structure with peeling paint and dim, flickering hallway lights, Gabriel couldn't help but comment diplomatically on the character of the building. "This place has its own charm," he observed, though his words carried a subtle sadness for the hardships Chloe must endure. Inside, the small apartment was cozy, its walls adorned with sketches and art supplies scattered about. A testament to Chloe's passion and her dreams of one day creating her own art studio. Gabriel's admiration grew with each shared detail, and as they unpacked the groceries together, Chloe spoke softly about her mother's relentless strength and the challenges of balancing dreams with reality. Their bond deepened further during an impromptu visit to a nearby park. One crisp autumn afternoon, the park's winding paths and scattered benches provided a perfect retreat for Chloe to seek inspiration and escape from the daily grind. Clutching a small sketchbook, she found a quiet spot by a serene pond, where a group of ducks were being fed by a laughing child. Gabriel sat beside her on a weathered bench, watching as her eyes lit up with the creative spark that she rarely allowed herself to share. "These sketches are incredible," he remarked quietly, his tone sincere and full of admiration. Chloe's cheeks flushed with both pride and self-doubt. "They're just for me right now," she confessed softly, her fingers brushing lightly over a page filled with intricate details. Gabriel's gentle encouragement, coupled with his genuine interest in her work, helped her see her talent in a new light, one that was as refreshing as it was affirming. Yet, as the weeks passed and their connection grew more intimate, a shadow of uncertainty began to loom over their budding romance. Gabriel had kept a secret from Chloe, a carefully guarded truth about his true identity. While he had initially presented himself as a humble, approachable man, the reality was far more complicated. Gabriel Stone was not just another face in the crowd. He was, in fact, a prominent tech magnate whose accomplishments and wealth often preceded him. He had chosen to hide this part of himself, afraid that revealing it might shatter the fragile authenticity of their relationship. For his part, Chloe had begun to see him as a kind, genuine soul, someone who, for a brief serendipitous moment, allowed her to believe that she was seen for who she truly was, beyond her modest background and daily struggles. The turning point came one busy evening at a high-profile charity event held in a grand ballroom. Chloe, who had volunteered to help coordinate a silent auction for underprivileged youth, was busy arranging the items with her characteristic determination when a ripple of excitement swept through the room. A volunteer pointed discreetly toward the entrance, whispering, "Who's that?" Chloe's heart skipped a beat as she turned to see Gabriel stepping through the doors, his presence commanding attention in an impeccably tailored suit. As he was greeted warmly by the event organizer, who introduced him as the esteemed guest of honor and praised his philanthropic contributions, Chloe's world tilted. The man she had come to know over coffee, in quiet parks and during everyday errands, was not the same person she had met that fateful night at the restaurant. The truth, draped in the guise of a tech billionaire, was now impossible to ignore. Chloe's pulse pounded as she made her way through the crowd to confront Gabriel. Finding him near a small group of well-dressed attendees, she crossed her arms, her eyes steely with hurt and confusion. "So, you're Gabriel Stone," she said quietly, her tone laced with a mixture of disappointment and disbelief. "The billionaire tech genius." Gabriel's face fell, and his eyes betrayed the regret he had tried so desperately to conceal. "Chloe, I didn't mean to deceive you," he pleaded, his voice trembling with a mixture of remorse and desperation. "When we met, I wasn't planning on letting my reputation define our conversation. I just wanted someone to see me for who I truly am." But Chloe's heart, wounded by the revelation, recoiled from the truth. "You made me feel like I was enough without your secrets," she said, her voice rising with emotion. "I trusted you because I believed you were genuine, and now everything feels like a lie." Before Gabriel could muster another word, Chloe turned and fled from the ballroom, leaving behind a stunned silence and a trail of broken trust. In the aftermath of that painful confrontation, Chloe withdrew into herself. In the sanctuary of her modest apartment, she sat by her bedroom window, staring blankly at the quiet street below. The weight of betrayal pressed down on her, and every line of her carefully drawn sketches now seemed to echo the painful memory of a love built on half-truths. Ava, ever the supportive friend, knocked softly on the door before peeking in with concern. "Are you okay?" she asked gently, wrapping an arm around Chloe as she sank into the couch. "I'm not sure I can trust anyone again," Chloe whispered, her voice trembling with a sorrow that seemed too vast to overcome. Ava's comforting embrace and quiet words reminded her that sometimes, even in the face of deep hurt, there was room for healing. "You deserve someone who's completely honest with you, Chloe," Ava murmured softly. "Don't settle for anything less." And though the betrayal had left scars, a small, resilient part of Chloe's heart still dared to hope that perhaps, in time, things might be made right. Meanwhile, high above the shimmering Seattle skyline in his sleek penthouse office, Gabriel sat in isolation, staring out at the city lights that now seemed to mock him with their cold distance. The grandeur of his achievements and the accolades of his success meant nothing compared to the loss of the one person who had seen him in a light that money and status could never capture. His assistant Clara entered the room with a steaming cup of coffee, her eyes searching his face for any hint of resolution. "Gabriel, you've been in this silence for hours," she remarked softly. "What are you going to do about Chloe?" Gabriel's eyes, usually so resolute, softened with vulnerability as he replied, "I need to fix this, Clara. I've never met anyone like her. Someone who made me feel truly seen. I have to show her that everything we shared was real." Clara nodded slowly, her expression a mixture of understanding and concern. "Then prove it, Gabriel. Actions speak far louder than any apology." That simple exchange, filled with unspoken hope, rekindled a determination in Gabriel that bordered on desperation. He would do anything to earn back the trust of the woman who had captivated him, even if it meant dismantling the carefully constructed facade he had maintained for so long. The very next day, Gabriel took the first tentative steps toward redemption. He reached out to Ava with a proposal that was both daring and heartfelt. He would purchase a small independent art gallery, a space that Chloe had long dreamed of owning, and transform it into a sanctuary for emerging artists. Over the following weeks, Gabriel poured himself into this project with a fervor that surprised even him. Secret meetings were held with the gallery owner, discreet arrangements were made, and every detail was meticulously planned. In the quiet hours of early morning, while the city was still wrapped in slumber, Gabriel would sit at his desk drafting proposals and budgets, determined that this gesture would speak volumes about his genuine admiration for Chloe's talent and resilience. For Chloe, life continued its quiet, relentless rhythm. Despite the lingering sting of betrayal, she found solace in her art. Every evening after her shift at the diner, she would retreat to her small apartment, drawing inspiration from the faded sunlight and the soft hum of the city outside her window. With Ava by her side, she would review her sketches and dream aloud about a future where her passion for art could transform into something more than a private refuge, a public celebration of creativity and perseverance. Yet, even as she lost herself in the colors and textures of her work, a nagging uncertainty persisted. She questioned whether the warmth and kindness she had once felt for Gabriel could ever be reconciled with the man who had deceived her. Then, one brisk evening, as autumn leaves danced in the cool Seattle air, Chloe's phone buzzed with a message that made her pause. It was from Gabriel. "Hi Chloe, it's Gabriel. I know things have been difficult, but I'd like to see you again, if you're willing to meet for a walk in the park. No grand gestures, just a chance for us to talk." Chloe's heart fluttered with conflicted emotions. Part of her longed to believe that he could be the man she remembered from that humble coffee shop, while another part remained fiercely protective of her bruised heart. After a long, contemplative pause, she texted back a simple, tentative, "Okay." It was a small step, a cautious opening of a door she had slammed shut, but it was enough to let hope seep in. At a quiet urban park on the outskirts of the bustling downtown, Chloe met Gabriel once more. The park, with its meandering paths, lush trees and secluded benches, provided a serene backdrop to a conversation that was both raw and honest. Gabriel began by apologizing for the deception, his eyes reflecting genuine regret as he explained how he had wanted to be seen simply as Gabriel, a man capable of caring and compassion, rather than as the billionaire tech magnate he was known to be. "I was afraid," he confessed in a quiet, trembling voice. "Afraid that if you knew the real me, you would only see my wealth, my status, and not the person I truly am." Chloe listened intently, her heart heavy yet yearning for the truth. "I trusted you, Gabriel," she said softly, her tone a mixture of sorrow and hope. "I fell for the version of you that I thought I knew. I need to be sure that what we have is real, and that you're willing to be honest. Even if it's hard." Their conversation stretched on, punctuated by moments of silence that spoke as loudly as their words. In that quiet park, amidst the rustle of leaves and distant laughter of children, an unspoken promise began to form. A promise that perhaps, with time, forgiveness and honesty could heal even the deepest wounds. As autumn gradually gave way to the crisp chill of winter, Gabriel embarked on a quest to mend the fractures of their trust. He invited Chloe to yet another meeting, this time at a quaint, cozy cafe renowned for its quiet ambience and warm beverages. The cafe, tucked away from the usual crowds, was reminiscent of a secret haven, a place where time seemed to slow down, allowing honest conversations to flourish. When Chloe arrived, Gabriel greeted her with a sincere smile and an apologetic look that spoke volumes of his remorse. Over steaming mugs of spiced chai and the gentle clink of ceramic cups, they revisited memories of their earlier encounters, each recollection tinged with both the sweetness of what once was and the bitterness of lost trust. "I know I hurt you," Gabriel said earnestly, his eyes locked onto Chloe's, "but I want to show you that I can be better, that I can be the man who cares for you without any pretense." Chloe searched his face for any sign of insincerity, and in that quiet moment something shifted. While the pain of betrayal was still fresh, a small, tentative hope began to take root. The weeks that followed were filled with an array of small, heartfelt gestures. Gabriel often found himself at unexpected moments assisting Chloe with everyday tasks. A ride home when the rain started unexpectedly, help with heavy grocery bags, or a simple text message wishing her a good night. Each act, no matter how seemingly insignificant, chipped away at the barrier that had grown between them. And as their interactions continued, the shadows of the past slowly receded, replaced by a cautious trust that blossomed anew. One particularly memorable day, Gabriel surprised Chloe by picking her up from the diner in his modest car. A far cry from the sleek, luxurious vehicles one might expect from someone of his standing. "I just wanted to see you smile on your way home," he said softly, the sincerity in his tone melting away some of her lingering doubts. In the quiet moments of that journey, as the city's lights blurred past and the night whispered promises of new beginnings, Chloe began to see the man behind the grand facade. A man capable of vulnerability, of regret, and of love. It wasn't long before Gabriel's grand plan to purchase the small art gallery took shape. He worked discreetly with the gallery's owner, poring over contracts and negotiating deals, all with the singular aim of creating a space that would honor Chloe's dreams. The project consumed his every waking moment, and soon the transformation of the gallery became the talk of the local art community. When the day of the reveal finally arrived, Chloe was led, almost in secret, by Ava to a small, unassuming building she had long admired from afar. As she approached, the sign above the door read simply, "Special Exhibit, the Art of Chloe Rivera." Her heart pounded with a mixture of disbelief and wonder as she stepped inside. Every wall was adorned with her sketches, each one framed and illuminated with meticulous care. In the center of the gallery, a single handwritten note lay on a pedestal. With trembling hands, Chloe picked it up and read the heartfelt words, "Your art deserves the world, and you deserve a love built on honesty and trust. Let me try again." Overwhelmed by emotion, tears welled in her eyes as the full weight of Gabriel's gesture sank in. It was not merely a grand public display, it was a declaration of his belief in her talent, her dreams, and most importantly, in the authenticity of their connection. Gabriel appeared from behind a partition, his face etched with hope and trepidation. "Chloe," he began, his voice soft but determined, "I know I hurt you, and I know I have a lot to make up for, but I want you to see that I'm willing to do whatever it takes to earn back your trust." Chloe's heart wavered between lingering hurt and the undeniable pull of her affection for him. "I don't know if I can ever forget what happened," she admitted, her voice quavering as she met his gaze. "But I'm willing to try, if you promise to be honest always." Gabriel's eyes shone with gratitude and relief as he nodded fervently. "I promise, Chloe. No more secrets, just me, for as long as you'll have me." In that moment, as the quiet hum of the gallery's lights mixed with the soft murmurs of a growing crowd outside, a tentative reconciliation began to take root. A second chance forged through vulnerability, forgiveness, and an unyielding belief in the transformative power of love. Time marched on, and what began as a fragile reconnection gradually blossomed into something deeper and more resilient. Weeks later, after many more shared coffees, long walks through the park, and quiet evenings spent talking about dreams and disappointments, Chloe invited Gabriel to her modest apartment for dinner. It was a simple meal, spaghetti and garlic bread served on mismatched plates. But to Chloe, every detail was imbued with meaning. As they sat together amid the soft glow of lamplight, Chloe expressed her gratitude. "You've done so much for me, not just with your grand gestures, but by being there when I needed someone to believe in me." Gabriel's expression softened, a mixture of pride and remorse passing over his features. "I'm just trying to be the man you deserve, Chloe," he said quietly. "Not the image of what I'm supposed to be, but someone who cares for you with all his heart." The words hung in the air between them, resonating with a sincerity that slowly mended the fractures of the past. Not long after that intimate dinner, Chloe found herself invited to a local art gallery opening, a celebration of creativity and community, where she was to display some of her latest work. The gallery was abuzz with excitement, and as she mingled with guests and admirers, she felt a spark of confidence rekindling within her. Gabriel, ever supportive, stood by her side, his presence a quiet reassurance. In a moment of shared reflection, as they paused before a painting of a serene lakeside scene, Gabriel whispered, "You are incredibly resilient, Chloe. Your strength and passion inspire me every day." His words, gentle and heartfelt, struck a chord deep within her, and for a brief moment, the tumult of past betrayals melted away in the warmth of his admiration. Yet, despite the renewed closeness, there remained an undercurrent of uncertainty. Chloe's mind was often haunted by the memory of that fateful night, the shock of discovering Gabriel's true identity and the pain of feeling deceived. She would sometimes lie awake at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering if she was falling for the version of Gabriel she had come to love, or merely the idea of him. Gabriel, too, wrestled with his inner demons. In the solitude of his upscale office, he would replay their conversations, each laugh and shared secret a reminder of what he risked losing if he didn't find a way to prove his sincerity. "I have to fix this," he would murmur to himself, the weight of his mistake pressing down on him like an anchor. And so, with each passing day, he became more determined to show Chloe that beneath the layers of wealth and status lay a man capable of vulnerability and unconditional care. The ultimate test of their bond came unexpectedly during a major charity event held in one of Seattle's grand ballrooms. Chloe, volunteering once again to help coordinate the silent auction for a cause close to her heart, was in the midst of arranging the details when she saw him. Gabriel, standing amidst a throng of influential guests, his presence commanding the room. This time, however, there was no disguising his true identity. The event organizer proudly introduced him as Gabriel Stone, the innovative tech magnate whose philanthropic efforts had made headlines. The realization hit Chloe like a tidal wave, stirring old insecurities and fears. Had she truly ever known the real Gabriel? With a heavy heart, she stepped away from the crowd, seeking refuge in a quiet hallway where she could gather her thoughts. Before long, Gabriel found her there, alone and visibly shaken. "Chloe, we need to talk," he said softly, his voice heavy with remorse. Standing face to face, the unspoken truth between them loomed large. "I never meant to hurt you," he began, his words faltering as he searched her eyes for any sign of forgiveness. "I wanted you to see me. Not the billionaire, not the tech mogul, but just me." Chloe's gaze hardened with pain and disbelief. "You made me feel like I was enough, because I was with the version of you I believed in," she replied, her voice trembling with a mixture of anger and sorrow. "How can I trust you when you hide behind your secrets?" For several long moments, neither spoke, the silence filled only by the distant hum of the city and the soft rustle of fabric. Finally, with a shaking breath, Chloe said, "I need time, Gabrielle. I need to figure out if I can ever let go of this hurt." And with that, she turned and walked away, leaving Gabriel alone in a sea of regret and longing. In the days that followed, Gabriel's heart ached with the realization that every grand gesture, every act of kindness, might not be enough to erase the pain of deception. Desperate to prove that his feelings were genuine, he reached out to Ava, asking for her help in one final audacious attempt to win Chloe back. "I want to show her that I believe in her dreams," he told Ava, his voice laced with determination. "I'm going to buy that small art gallery she's always admired and transform it into a tribute to her talent. A space where her art can shine, unburdened by the past." Ava regarded him for a long moment before nodding, her own heart softened by the sincerity of his plea. "If she's as special as you say, then she deserves nothing less than your absolute truth," she replied, her eyes glimmering with cautious hope. After weeks of painstaking preparation, the day finally arrived when Gabriel's plan was set into motion. Early in the morning, before the city fully awoke, he arranged to meet the gallery owner in a discreet location to finalize the purchase. Every detail was attended to with an almost obsessive care, from the framing of Chloe's sketches to the subtle ambient lighting that would transform the space into a haven for creativity. On the day of the reveal, Gabriel left a handwritten note at the front desk of the gallery, a final message of hope and contrition, before slipping away into the city's labyrinthine streets. That evening, as dusk settled over Seattle, Ava intercepted Chloe on her way home from work. "Chloe, you have to come with me," Ava insisted, her tone urgent yet caring. Confused but trusting her friend, Chloe followed as Ava led her to the small gallery that had long been a beacon of her artistic aspirations. When they arrived, Chloe paused in disbelief. The gallery's exterior was unassuming, yet as she stepped inside, she was enveloped by an overwhelming sense of familiarity and wonder. Every wall was adorned with her artwork, landscapes, portraits, and whimsical sketches that chronicled her journey of struggle and hope. In the center of the space, the same handwritten note lay, its message clear. Your art deserves the world, just as you deserve honesty, love, and someone who sees you for who you truly are. Let me try again. Tears welled in her eyes as the realization sank in. This was not merely a grand gesture. It was a declaration of faith in her talent, her dreams, and, ultimately, in their love. Moments later, Gabriel emerged from behind a partition, his expression tentative but earnest. "Chloe," he began, his voice soft yet resonant with emotion. "I know I hurt you, and I know I've broken your trust, but every day since that night, I've thought about how much you mean to me, and I couldn't let you go without trying to make things right." Chloe's eyes filled with unshed tears as she regarded him. This was the moment of truth, where every lie and every secret was laid bare before her. "I don't know if I can ever forget what you did," she said, her voice trembling. "But if you're willing to be completely honest from now on, maybe we can try again." Gabriel stepped closer, his eyes earnest and filled with vulnerability. "I promise, Chloe," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. "No more secrets, no more lies, just me, every part of me, if you'll have me." In that fragile, tender moment, as the gallery filled with the quiet glow of art and the soft murmur of distant voices, an unspoken understanding was forged, a promise of second chances and the courage to love again. The weeks that followed were marked by small yet significant moments of healing. Gabriel and Chloe continued to meet regularly, their interactions now imbued with a quiet honesty that replaced the former facade. They spent lazy afternoons at the local park, where Chloe would sit on a bench with her sketchbook while Gabriel listened intently to her dreams. In the gentle embrace of a rainy evening, they would share warm drinks at the same modest cafe. Their conversations no longer weighed down by hidden truths, but buoyed by an emerging trust. Slowly the wounds began to close, replaced by a cautious hope that perhaps the love they shared was strong enough to overcome the scars of the past. One crisp winter evening, as the city's lights shimmered against the dark sky, Gabriel and Chloe found themselves walking hand in hand along a quiet street. The air was filled with the promise of new beginnings, and for a moment, the world around them faded into a soft blur. "I never thought I'd have a chance to be loved for who I really am," Chloe murmured, her voice barely audible above the gentle hum of the city. Gabriel squeezed her hand gently, his eyes reflecting both regret and deep affection. "And I never thought I could dare to be vulnerable," he replied, "but with you, everything feels right." Their footsteps echoed softly on the pavement, each step a small testament to the rebuilding of trust and the rekindling of a love that had once been nearly lost. Months later, in a celebration that felt both intimate and transcendent, Chloe's dream finally took tangible form. The newly opened art gallery, a vibrant space filled with her own creations and works by emerging local artists, stood as a testament to resilience, creativity, and the transformative power of second chances. Surrounded by friends, family, and countless supporters, Chloe presided over the grand opening with a quiet dignity that belied the tumultuous journey she had endured. Gabriel, ever by her side, watched with a mix of pride and awe as she mingled with guests, her smile radiant as she recounted the hardships and triumphs that had led her to this moment. Then, as twilight deepened and soft music filled the gallery, Gabriel stepped forward with a glint of mischief and deep sincerity in his eyes. "Chloe," he announced before the gathered crowd, his voice steady and clear, "I sat at the wrong table that night, but from that very mistake, I realized that you were the right person for me." The room fell silent, every eye fixed on the couple whose love had overcome every obstacle. With a trembling hand, Gabriel reached into his pocket and produced a small velvet box, his next words barely audible over the collective hush. "I love you for your strength, your kindness, and the beauty with which you see the world. Chloe Rivera, will you marry me?" Amidst gasps of delight and soft applause, Chloe's eyes filled with tears as she nodded slowly, her voice choked with emotion. "Only if you promise no more secrets," she whispered. Gabriel's smile was gentle as he replied, "I promise." And so, in a ceremony that was as intimate as it was heartfelt, they exchanged vows in the very gallery that had borne witness to their journey. A space that was now not only a celebration of art, but also a monument to love reborn. In the years that followed, the art gallery became a thriving haven for creativity, a place where young artists found both inspiration and refuge. Gabriel, true to his word, continued to support Chloe not with grand, ostentatious gestures, but with quiet, steadfast acts of love. Together they nurtured a community where art and honesty flourished side by side, their lives intertwined in a partnership built on resilience, forgiveness, and the promise of an unvarnished truth. On a bright spring day, surrounded by the warm glow of sunlight streaming through expansive gallery windows, Chloe and Gabriel shared their first dance as husband and wife. A moment of pure, unfiltered joy that encapsulated every twist and turn of their extraordinary journey. As the years unfurled, the memories of that fateful night, when a mistaken identity had set in motion a chain of events neither could have predicted, remained a bittersweet reminder of how life's unexpected turns often lead to the most profound transformations. For Chloe and Gabriel, every challenge, every tear shed in solitude, had been a stepping stone toward a love that was as deep as it was genuine. And in the quiet moments, whether during a simple morning walk or while admiring a new piece of art in the gallery, they would share a glance that spoke of a promise kept. A promise that, despite the missteps and the secrets of the past, their love was the one true constant. Their story, etched into every corner of the gallery and whispered in the gentle rustle of art on the walls, stood as an enduring testament to the power of forgiveness, the beauty of second chances, and the courage it takes to reveal one's true self. In a world that often judged by appearances and wealth, Chloe and Gabriel had built a legacy that celebrated the quiet strength of vulnerability and the transformative power of honesty. And so, as the city of Seattle bustled around them and the seasons changed in a graceful rhythm, their lives continued to intertwine, a dance of art, love, and redemption that promised that even the most unexpected mistakes could lead to the most extraordinary beginnings. If their journey has touched your heart, let it serve as a reminder that life's most beautiful moments often arise from imperfections and unexpected turns. In the gallery of our lives, every scar and every triumph contributes to the masterpiece of who we are. And sometimes, the best mistakes are the ones that guide us to the love we never thought we deserved.